Hi, everyone. As two big fans of budget night, we thought we would give you a bit of an update on what the budget was on Tuesday night. And I guess a little bit of what does it mean for you when to talk to an advisor? So we've got Ellie Fordham here, Lucy Atkinson, financial advisors at First Wealth. Do you have the most important question for you though, Ellie? It's knowing you and I. Did you have the popcorn out for budget night?
Bit sad I didn't lose, but I very much enjoyed watching the budget.
I did. Okay, well, so without the popcorn, if you did have the popcorn, Ellie, what do you reckon was the most popcorn popping moment of the night?
Oh, that's a tough one. But I definitely think it was Sarah Ferguson absolutely grilling Jim Chalmers after the budget speech on 7:30. Very much enjoyed that.
Very true.
Also don't know why everyone was talking about Laura Chalmers' dress. Didn't see anything about it until it got mentioned to me today.
Yeah, I feel like that's the biggest hype that's come out of the budget night, to be honest. But if we were talking about, I suppose, other big hypes, we could probably say one of the biggest sort of talking points of this budget, everything was really released quite early this year, wasn't it? There was no real surprises.
No surprises for us, really, especially when it comes to how it impacts our clients from a financial perspective. So a lot of these measures we had really had announced for a long time coming, especially the stage 3 tax cuts, which were released or updated really in January of this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with those stage 3 tax cuts, Ellie, I do want to ask you a few questions about them, but I've got a slide here. So I'm just going to share my screen for you guys. Oops. So talk to us about the stage 3 tax cuts, Ellie. What can we expect? How's it working?
Well, to cite Jim Chalmers, every Australian is going to receive a tax cut, which is fantastic. It's going to be around about $1,900 per year on average for most Australians. Big changes really here are, as Jim Chalmers says, middle Australia. So anyone from a $40,000 taxable income right through to around about 140 are going to receive most of that benefit.
Yeah.
It's going to affect all Australians. Everyone is going to receive some benefit from it, but middle Australia are going to be the biggest winners here.
Yeah, great. So from my understanding of this, we're getting that in our pocket, Ellie, like every single month. This isn't something we need to have a tax rebate for at the end of the year. Very much your money to spend. If you're on the spending plan with us at Verse, it's not going to lifestyle, guys.
Yeah. And I think important to differentiate different to that low and income middle tax offset that we had in the past. So a lot of people were getting that as a rebate or a credit into their tax refund. This is in the pocket every single week, every single month, depending on when you get paid.
Yeah, great. So tell us a little bit more about that, Ellie.
So help debt, it gets indexed on the 1st of June every year. I've been talking to a lot of people about it, clients, or impacting their kids. Typically, it's been a very low rate because it is tied to CPI and inflation.
It's obviously been a lot lower until now.
Until last year, where it certainly increased. A lot of people made the decision to try and pay down their help debt or reduce it much further. Governments recognise that the impact that it has on a lot of people that do have a help debt. And so they're applying a rebate back to those people who have the help debt as at 2023 to reimburse them effectively for that indexation.
I remember I saw reading that for average HECS debt of say 25,000, it's an extra of like $1,000 back on your HECS debt. Just to confirm, guys, that is going back onto your help debt. So it's not going to be cash in hand unless actually if you had already paid off that HECS debt, like you said, Ellie, before the 1st of June, after the 1st of June last year. So between the 1st of June and the 1st of July, you still get that rebate, don't you?
You do. Yeah. So it's still cash in hand. It's another win.
That comes through at your tax return at the end of the year.
It does.
Yeah.
Correct.
Nice. That's a good one. So again, speaking more about, it really is about giving out money, this budget, wasn't it? It's very interesting because we're speaking about this being a non-inflationary budget. But we are talking about a lot of hands out and a lot of extra money coming back to you guys at this point. One of those is superannuation on paid parental leave. Now, first of all, yes, we've all been wanting this for a very long time, haven't we?
Yeah, we're big fans here.
Big fans.
So what it means is that when you have the paid parental leave payment made to you, it's currently about $882 per week. You're now going to have superannuation guarantee paid on top of that. Doesn't start though until 1st of July next year. So that is going to mean that Centrelink or your employer, whoever is actually making that payment to you, is going to be putting those contributions into your super fund every week or month, meaning you're going to continue to boost your super balance while you're taking time out of the workforce for caring responsibilities.
So based on those weekly figures, that's an extra almost $4,200, with $4,250 going into your superannuation account if you are the primary carer and receiving that Centrelink benefit. It's pretty amazing. That is definitely going a long way, or it's a start to bridging that gender gap, isn't it?
It certainly is. It's going to be really beneficial as we have more and more people taking time out of the workforce.
Amazing. I think it's definitely going to equalize those super balances over time as well. So very, very excited about that one coming in. I think that's probably one of the most positive changes.
Agree.
Yeah.
And certainly impacts a lot of our clients.
Absolutely. So I guess in terms of speaking of Centrelink, we'll go straight to the deeming. I know that there's, some clients out there that won't be receiving Centrelink, some that will be. If you are receiving Centrelink, from my understanding as well, there has been a freeze to the deeming rates until 2025. So what's deeming, Ellie, I suppose? And if you can explain to everyone what that freeze might look like or what it means.
Yeah, so deeming applies to those that are on a means tested payment with Centrelink. So age pension is an example of one of those, job seeker another. Deeming applies to the income tested portion of your payment. So rather than saying, Lucy, you got a 4% interest rate on that bank account and a 6% return on that investment, it's a deemed rate across your financial assets. It's at two thresholds, but the high threshold is 2.25%, which is probably a bit higher than what it has been previously. It is tied typically to inflation.
It's still quite low compared to some of the increases in like our bank accounts and stuff that we have seen.
Correct.
Now.
So the government is saying this is a win by freezing the deeming rate at 2.25%. So it's going to mean that the income tested portion for means tested payments, like the age pension, as I said, is going to still stay lower rather than if it increased that deeming rate in the future.
So interestingly, again, we're seeing inflation there mean that you're getting more in your pocket from the interest in your bank accounts. That's actually not affecting your Centrelink payments going forward for the next 12 months.
That's right.
12.5 months. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yep. So again, it's very different compared to, I suppose, that it's not really in line with the idea of reducing inflation, is it?
Well, I found this one really interesting, Luce, because in the budget, the government had sort of projected that inflation is going to come down.
Yeah.
If inflation was going to come down, that would typically mean that deeming rates also come down.
Yeah.
However, they've elected to freeze the deeming rates. So, if inflation does actually go up, it's a win for those that are on deemed rates.
Absolutely. So in terms of, like deeming and stuff, I know that superannuation is part of some of those assets that are deemed, but we've got some changes coming into superannuation as well, specifically around the caps. I know that we can start putting more in from the 1st of July. I know that our employers are giving us more. So talk to us a little bit about what changes are happening to the caps and how do we prepare for them?
We've talked a lot about indexation, inflation, all of these sorts of figures. So
I think it's the theme of this budget, wasn't it?
It's kind of like a buzzword, really, isn't it?
It is, yeah, inflation, inflationary.
Yeah, I mean, some of the podcasts I listen to, they even know the difference between different types of inflation now.
we won't bore you guys with that.
We're not going to do that. We're not going to dive into that.
Yeah.
But indexation is applied to superannuation contribution caps, and this is the year it's going to happen, 1st of July, 2024. So currently, the concessional contribution cap, which many of you are familiar with, is $27,500. It's increasing to $30,000 from the 1st of July. The non-concessional contribution cap, which really is a cap on after-tax contributions to super, currently $110,000 per year. It's increasing to $120,000 per year. The last one to really take note of is the transfer balance cap, or another. It's also used as a measure for total super balance for some criteria. Currently, that's $1.9 million. That's increasing to $2 million. The most common aspect, I think, of the way that applies to our clients and the conversations we have is, at the moment, the maximum limit you can put into pension phase when you kick off a pension. You can't do it for a while yet, Luce. But when you do, it's currently $1.9 million per person. That's now increasing to $2 million.
So just to confirm, if I had $1.9 million in my pension, though, we can't increase it up to $2 million because we've already hit our cap, haven't we?
You have.
Yeah. So unfortunately, it doesn't mean that if you've already hit it, you've got extra room. But if you are nearing that $2 million balance, but you're not, or the $1.9 million balance, there might be a little bit extra that we can get in there. So it's always worth a chat. Though I suppose when we're talking about adding extra into superannuation and everything, we wouldn't necessarily recommend running out and going up to the caps because the super guarantee payment's changing as well, isn't it?
It is. It's increasing again, 11% at the moment, from 1st of July, increasing to 11.5%. So some of our clients do receive a package that is quoted inclusive of superannuation.
Isn't that pay?
It is.
Yeah, okay.
So I'd highly recommend you determine whether this is actually going to reduce your take-home pay, because the superannuation component of your package is now higher, as it has to be mandatory amount increasing to 11.5%.
Exactly. So if your package is increasing by that 0.5%, on the superannuation component, you actually might lose that in your take-home pay. So see if you're on those base plus. If not, definitely come back and chat to us. So we've talked a lot about, I guess, the super changes, the SG rate, Centrelink deeming. Again, a lot of things are kind of being given to us. And I know another cheeky handout that we've got being given is a $300 rebate, and $325 rebate, from my understanding, for the eligible small businesses on electricity bills. So that's going straight into your electricity bill, isn't it? It's not cash in hand.
Yep, straight onto the bill.
Yeah. So again, another little cheeky, from my understanding, I think Queensland and WA are getting a little bit more, not Victoria. Sorry, guys, not us. Lucky Ellie. Cool. Was there anything else? I mean, like I said, it wasn't a huge amount of change, was it, Ellie?
No, not really. Most of it was really announced before. And I guess the only other thing probably to note, we're not going to dive into the detail around it, but this government has previously introduced an additional 15% tax on balances over $3 million inside superannuation. There's still a bit of debate ongoing with that at the moment. It's currently passing through the government at the moment.
Yep.
So we'll watch this space on how that unfolds, but there's a couple little tweaks there, a couple of bills proposed to create some indexation on that as well, given that that's a key theme of the chat today.
Indexation, inflation. So from my understanding, then obviously, like the Gina Rineharts of the world with their 300 million in super, they might be having a bit of a tax.
Not sure how much it actually help.
Yeah.
But it is going to impact more and more Australians as we continue to grow our wealth within superannuation. So that's definitely
still remains one of the best places to park your wealth through retirement.
Definitely.
Great. Well, this has been fun. Thanks for chatting. It's lovely to be up in Brisbane and actually getting to do this with you, even though it is making my hair frizzy with the humidity. But lovely to chat. If you have any questions, guys, reach out to us, and looking forward to the next update. Ellie Fordham, Lucy Atkinson signing off. See you guys.